one reason why I'm not buying Bitcoin. Hi, it's Charlie giving you Saturday's video. Hope you're very well. And just in the last 24 hours, so over $1 billion of crypto has been liquidated. And so, yeah, quite some over 200,000 traders have been liquidated in the last day or so. And we know why these the cryptocurrencies are falling away pretty much in line with what the sort of price action that we're seeing in the stock markets. If we go and have a look at the S&P, for example, then we can see what's going on there. Likewise on the Nasdaq. So with Bitcoin, why am I not? What is that one reason why I'm not buying it? Well, before I move on to that, I'll just also mention that I find is quite interesting is that we've still got some quite high leverage ratios. The leverage ratio is still high. It got very high into the latter quarter of the last quarter of last year, and it's still, although it's just starting to come off a little bit, it's still very high. The leverage ratio is still high, so that's a concern that there's still a lot of leverage money out there. But on a side note, a friend of mine just got in touch with me this morning, and he said, "Money's cheap right now. I think I'm going to borrow some money and buy Bitcoin." And that to me is my number one warning flag that you hear that, and I know it's only one person, but when you hear stuff like that, that you just say, okay, well, it probably isn't finished yet, because you're still going to have people out there who are not only saying, oh, I want to buy, it's coming down, which is not a bad idea. Obviously, you want to buy stuff, and things when prices are coming lower at times, if you have a longer term view on them, and if you're like a value investor or type thing. But when you've got people saying, I'm going to take a loan out to buy crypto, then that still raises a warning flag for me. So if we've got that type of mentality, and I always say, well, he's just one person, but if one person has mentioned this to me, then there'll be countless more people all around the world thinking just this, because they're thinking, well, money's still cheap at the moment. Whilst money's still cheap, I'll borrow some money and I'll pile into the cryptocurrencies. I'm not saying that that he couldn't be right, of course, because he could be, but normally, that just suggests that there's still an element of absolute bullishness that needs to still be taken out, where we need to get to this point where the masses, and I'm not talking about you experience crypto traders. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the masses, the great unwashed, who are saying, "Oh, see, Bitcoin's come down. Maybe I'll take a loan out and buy some." It's those people that we need to clear out. So all of the time that the market, that people are still thinking like that, then it would suggest to me that there's probably more downside to come, because it's only when the masses say, "Oh, I'm not interested in that cryptocurrency stuff because it's been coming down a lot. Now I think I'll wait now." It's when you get people starting to talk like that's probably the time to start edging your way in. I'm talking about, for people who believe in the concept of Bitcoin and the long-term growth prospects of it. That's what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about shorter-term traders, people coming in and out, and because there's always money to be made on bounces and everything. But looking at the weekly charts here, we've got, actually, it's quite a nice levels. I'll just put some channels on. So looking at I've just put a bit of a channel on here. So looking at it, yes, possibly this is a lower. It's a bit crude at the moment, but we're right at the bottom of this lower line that I've just crudely taken two channel lines, or two trend lines here. So maybe there might be something developing down here. But overall, if I take these off now and remove these two, then looking at the price, then of course overall we have this potential to still come down to these lows from earlier last year. Comes in quite nicely with my 100 MA, and so technically for me at the moment is that these lows would be of interest. And I think if we got down to those and then broke those lows, then that would be a point where I would definitely be looking I would be interested in that zone, because you're clearing out a load of orders most likely down below there, and a lot of technical people or might throw in the towel down at that level. Even if they're not technical, you've got to bear in mind people buy and they remember prices, and then when they see price comes down and breaks below those prices, they sort of throw in the towel. So that would be an area which might actually be a buy zone, not a boy zone. Anyway, let's leave it at that for this week. So that's my view this week. When people are still talking about borrowing money to invest into crypto assets, then that's a little bit of a concern. And that combined with high leverage ratios right now. Don't get me wrong. Of course, going back to the daily chart, anything can happen day to day and whatnot. But overall, I would still be saying more downside. Take care for now. I'll see you next week.